Namaste, my friend. Last week we understood that how to understand the purity and the impurity of the mind. Please continue to do that simple and easy practice that will help you to live in a higher awareness. And when you live in a higher awareness, there is no problem. We also understood that last week, besides purity and the impurity of the mind, that we have a choice. We improve, we grow, we evolve, we live in peace and happiness when there is a purity of the mind. And when there is an impurity, it causes lot of problems. You have to listen to this. It is better to, instead of listening to the podcast, you start listening to this. That will clear your mind before you are going to sleep. So the impurity, we are influenced and dictated by the world outside and our own interpretation of the mind. In the purity of the mind, we are neither influenced by the external world or we are not getting carried away by the wrong interpretation of the event, of the situation, of living with the people. And then what happens? The life becomes full of peace and happiness. Before we talk about it, today's topic is because of the impurity of the mind, we have a delusion, we have illusion, and we have ignorance. So there's delusion, illusion, and impurities causes stress, anger, anxiety, duality, conflict, disturbed sleep, and host of other problems in your life. So if I understand there is a thought, there is an event, there is a situation, I understand it is a delusion, illusion, or ignorance. The moment you have that understanding, you live in a higher awareness. So today's talk is focused on how to prevent your life entering into the stress, suffering, duality, conflict, anxiety, reaction. Once you understand, you apply that wisdom in your daily life. And simultaneously, you are doing the practice. So you have an intellectual understanding, you are listening to it and contemplating and reflecting, followed by the practice. So your entire behavior and attitude changes. In other way, our topic today, even if you don't want to understand delusion, illusion, and ignorance, I can put it in a different way. Why we get frustrated, scared, upset, angry, we don't want to. Because of the three factors. Either it is impurity, or it is a projection, or ignorance. So what happens? By the impurity and a projection by the mind, delusion, illusion, and ignorance, and that is the topic today. You wake up in the morning and mind says you are upset, anxious, angry, or tired. Even when you know that you have slept 10 hours, physically you are fit, but the mind gets upset. Delusion, illusion, or ignorance is there. Remember, it is due to these three factors. When we remove the illusion and ignorance from the mind is fit, mind is pure. We should understand these three words clearly, how they enter into our life. Never forget, the mind has three defects. One is the impurity, other is the projection. It projects anything, anywhere, with any person, with any situation, and then ignorance. Ignorance means that I don't know peace and happiness are within, and that's why I start searching is outside. It results into ignorance. Or because of the delusion, and ignorance, the peace and happiness hides behind. And I keep on searching outside. That is what happened when you had a disturbed sleep. So let us understand clearly the illusion, and ignorance. But one thing is sure, once you understand it clearly, you apply it in daily life, your lifestyle changes. Means what? Your behavior and attitude, your response to the outer situation changes completely. But the impure mind does not want you to change your lifestyle, your behavior, your attitude, your response. And that is why we have to continue the practice daily, both the practice alternatively or together. If you can do both the practices regularly, that would also be a good thing. So what happens? You do the practice, you are able to change your behavior and attitude for a few days, and then your mind goes back to the same old habit. That is why I have chosen this topic, that you should understand it clearly, what exactly is the illusion, and ignorance. Understand in a symbolic way. Uh, you are walking in a dense fog, convinced, your mind is convinced where you are going, but in reality, you are lost, unable to see the true path. You stumble and fall, mistaking illusion for a reality. And because that is what happens. Now, I will give you those examples in your daily life. You talk to a person, internally you are expecting, please appreciate me. I have given you so much. And instead of appreciation, you get an insult. So you just become aware of that. Mind, you're expecting something from the other person. Hold on. I am good to myself. I am happy within myself. I am relaxed within myself. Mind, you need not to expect anything from the world. You get out of the delusion. Well, that's important. It demands an awareness. All my practices helps you to live in a higher awareness. When we talk of illusion, illusion is also known as Maya. Have you seen a puppet show where the puppets representing the phenomenal world dance and enact various scenes, captivating the audience? Means captivating me. The audience becomes engrossed in the play, forgetting that puppets are merely controlled by the hidden strings. So when we are engrossed, you're lost in something outside. Taking it as a reality, illusion takes place. We'll understand practically. And what about the ignorance is like a person living in a dark room, unaware that there is a vast, beautiful world outside. We're just moving in a darkness. You fumble in the darkness, bumping into the objects and mistaking them as real. Only we need a single candle to light to see. You have bunch of the thoughts. You need a single thought of clarity, of purity of the mind to prevent you from stumble. 3 words. Ask yourself every day when you live, whenever you are surrounded by anxiety, duality, and conflict. You have to look at the impurity of the mind and first find out where am I in delusion, illusion, or ignorance. They all comes from the impurity of the mind. A person becomes obsessed with the job, for example, believing that believing their worth and identity and solely determined by their professional success. So that person neglect personal relationship, health, and pursuit of the career advancement. This is a perfect example of a delusion. So he is very good. He is very good at the job. But at the same time, he is so much obsessed with it that he lacks the personal health, well-being. So delusion is like a mirage in a desert, where a thirsty traveler chases after the oasis that doesn't exist. I fail to recognize the true source of the substance. Or an individual becomes deeply attached to the material possessions, constantly seeking to achieve more and deriving a sense of security and happiness from them. That is also a perfect example that is happening all the time. I love my car. I love my TV. I love my smartphone. And they are deriving security and happiness from there. Do you know that the phone budge and we pick up the phone more than 100 times every day? We don't see that, okay, let me hold on. There is nothing important than my peace and calmness. I will pick up the phone once every hour. Nothing to worry about budging the phone. Can we do that? Yes, we can do that. So delusion is like a person trying to fill a bottomless pit with objects, never realizing that true happiness cannot be found in external things. A person holds on to grudges and resentment. That is also a great delusion. One guy met me and he said that I still remember 10 years ago how my brother hit me. I keep that grudges and the resentment, believing that their anger and bitterness are justified and that forgiveness is a sign of weakness. Delusion is like drinking a poison and expecting the other person to die. I am drinking a poison and I want other person should die because I am drinking. I'm constantly upset inside. This is all about the delusion. And what about the illusion? Illusion pertains to the world outside. An individual, say, means a person enamored with the glamour and glitz of the celebrity culture, believing that fame and the popularity will bring the lasting happiness and fulfillment. We see the TV and we see those celebrities, and then we say, oh, let me buy the same clothes as she or she is wearing. I fail to recognize the fleeting nature of such external validation. I don't need a validation. Look into the mirror. What you like, what you dress on, that is the best one. Don't worry about how people respond or react. These kind of attitude is a delusion, and illusion is like a soap bubble, beautiful, captivating, but fragile and short-lived. Delusion happens inside me. Illusion, I could see lot of phenomena in the world, and my interpretation is wrong because of the impurity of the mind. A person becomes consumed by the pursuit of the wealth. Take the example, believing financial success will solve all the problems and bring the sense of contentment. So now the wealth is outside. So I sacrifice everything for the sake of wealth. I even ready to commit crime. I don't remember the name. The guy 3 years ago was sent to prison for 20 years. He raised the price of one medicine from $5 to $250. Illusion. Illusion is like a golden cage where one is trapped by the allure of material wealth, not realizing the true freedom lies beyond. It is necessary. We must have it. An individual becomes lost in the world of social media, lost in the social circle, curating an idealized image of their life. Don't do that. The world has two characteristics, likes and dislikes. They live together in the world. One person will like you, other will dislike. It is a fact. This is the nature of the world. Nature of the world is duality. So now if you put that word inside you, then what happens? Oh, that guy is crazy, that guy is good, he likes me, she dislikes me. Don't put the word inside you. So what happens because of this? When I put the word inside me, it is like an illusion where it is like a hall of mirrors where one sees the distorted reflections of themselves. So when the entire world is in me, 5 of my relations, 3 of which have disliking and 2 of them have a liking, I have 5 events two of them gave me peace, and three of them gave me the pain. And long list, made me upset, made me happy. Now, all these are, now I'm living with the word inside. So, what is happening? I am distorting my image about myself because that word is living in me. It has a distorted perception of myself and others. Look at this illusion. That is the cause of majority of the impurity of the mind, and because when we have the impurity of the mind, it is going to cause lot of challenges in our life. Illusion. And now we come to the ignorance. Ignorance means I don't know. No, pay attention. I know that I don't know my real self. That is ignorance. We are talking of that ignorance, not ignorance of not you don't know how to operate the computer, how to not to work, how to drive the car. No, that's another level. What we are talking, what I'm saying, I know that I don't know permanent peace and happiness are located in me. Because I don't know, so I don't remember, I forget it. So when I forget it, then I start chasing the happiness outside. So when I start chasing the happiness outside, I fall into illusion or delusion. And there the suffering begins. I'm simply saying, my friend, you think the way I'm thinking for you. Means after listening, you start thinking the way I'm thinking. And see what happens this week. So ignorance here means that there is a dark veil that obscures my vision, my perception, preventing from seeing the true nature of the reality. Covers, like it's like a curtain. Say, for example, a person engages in harmful behavior like a substance abuse, your son, self-destructive habit, not realizing the long-term consequences. So this is because of the ignorance. Yes, there is some element of illusion and delusion is there because this is giving me happiness. So that is the part of the delusion. But the major problem is of ignorance. I stumble in the dark by taking the drug. And I'm unaware of the pitfalls. Because my mind doesn't think about it. You observe your son, and then you will realize, oh, yes, this is the fact. So now I'm not thinking, and you want him to think. That's a good idea. But approach should be different. So it's a delusion, illusion, and ignorance. In Eastern wisdom, we say this delusion as moha. The Sanskrit word is moha. Think of it. Now, let us understand it practically. It has many meaning. Moha. Moha has meaning of confusion, delusion, upset. So it refers to a mental state that clouds one's understanding and perception of the truth. One guy, young guy, he was deeply attached to his romantic partner, believing that my sole purpose, sole source of happiness is that girl. And after a few weeks, then she told, then the girl left her, and he was totally upset, and he told me that what is the reason I gave 200% to this girl, and she left me. He said, you have been with me for the last 2 years. You did not give me even 10%. I mean to say that you did not understand these principles. Look at it. So you see the moha, the delusion. So sometimes we get infatuated with the idea of fame and success. Infatuation are many types. Infatuation with opposite sex, infatuation with some object, infatuation with some intangible things like fame and the success. So when I'm infatuated, say for example, fame and the success, so I pursue these goals relentlessly and feeling a sense of emptiness inside, dissatisfaction even after achieving it. Do you see that? So when you feel the sense of emptiness and dissatisfaction, instantly start thinking, what was the previous act that I did? What was the act I have been repeating in my life? What act I have repeated in the last 7 days? And then you recognize, my goodness, that emptiness and sense of dissatisfaction comes because of the delusion. Simple way, impurity of the mind, anxiety, anger, confusion, conflict, duality, stress, tiredness, not able to sleep. First, it is the impurity of the mind, and that impurity of the mind results into the three factors: delusion, illusion, and ignorance. And that is what we are understanding. Maya. So another word for illusion is known as the Maya. You might have heard about it. Maya is also a term, a word coming from the Eastern wisdom. So it means the power that creates the illusion of the phenomenal world. It refers to the veil that conceals the true nature of the reality and projects the appearance of the multiplicity and separation. The master used to give an example. You're walking in dusk, not very dark, not full of light, and there was a rope, and now you see the snake in a rope because you are walking in a forest or a garden. So the snake was projected on the rope. Reaction is projected on a person. Anger is projected on a honey. Are you getting it? The world of sensory experiences which appears real and permanent, but it is ultimately fleeting and illusory. Now, the ignorance. Ignorance, we use the term avidya. Avidya means the lack of knowledge of my real self. Ignorance is not that I'm ignorant about computer, etc. No, 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 no. So here the word ignorance is used to define that I'm not knowing the real self, which is of the nature of peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. Now see, I'm ignorant of the knowledge of the real self. but I want peace and happiness. So my mind identifies with the body and it says the body will give me peace and happiness. It identifies with the mind, will give me peace. It identifies with the world of possessions outside, it will give me peace and happiness. And the journey of the ignorance begins, never comes to an end. So I engage in these actions based on false belief and misperceptions. And that causes the illusion. So the root cause is ignorance. Now understand clearly. The root cause is ignorance. And because of the ignorance, we have delusion and illusion. Due to ignorance, individuals fail to recognize true nature, true nature of the reality, and this ignorance gives rise to illusion, the cosmic illusion that veils the reality and creates the appearance of multiplicity. And the delusion arises from inability to see through the veil of delusion. I'm going to explain you practically each and every step. So the more and more you have a clear understanding, starting from the impurity of the mind resulting into ignorance, ignorance is causing both illusion and the delusion. So illusion is there in the world, and that illusion arises from inability and delusion arises from the inability to see through that veil of the illusion and attachment to the illusory world. I get attached to anything, it becomes an illusion. Why attachment? Because it gives me peace and happiness, love and wisdom. And now I start working with an attachment, thinking that it is going to bring me peace and happiness. That becomes the delusion. One example, see, body. I'm attached to the body. I'm identifies with the body. Body is temporary. Clear? So this is what the delusion is. Now this leads them to, so when I identify myself that I am the body, I experience all the pleasures in the body, and when there is no pleasure, I'm frustrated. So what happens? You start with one set of pleasure, even just for the take an example for drinking a cup of tea and coffee. That gives me the pleasure. Now, if I continue, if I am not aware, that idea of the delusion is already there. It will go to other objects. So what I'm saying, an individual, a person in ignorance identifies with the body, mind, and the ego as real me. It is delusion. This leads to pursue worldly pleasures and achievements, believing that these worldly pleasures will bring the lasting happiness. That is illusion. So I started with delusion, now I enter into illusion. Now in these, now I continue to pursue, I results into dissatisfaction, and that dissatisfaction is coming from ignorance. So ignorance is like you are walking in a dark room where you do not know what objects or if any person is present in that dark room. Illusion is like a magician trick, creating the illusion of something that appears real but is not real. Look, my body is real. What is the definition of real? That remains unchanging. If the body continues to change, but I feel that it is not changing, I project it from my mind. It is not changing. Why? Because of attachment, because of obsession. My mind says, I will have no problem in the body. I've been taking care of it. But the body is changing. I don't know. Unexpected change. And I get upset. Why I get upset? Because I am not expecting the body to change. But the body is constantly changing. Ah, and that causes the problem. No, but if can I keep my body in the state of well-being that is 100% all the time in all the locations every day? You get the answer? No, I cannot do it because I do not have total control over the body. You take the pills and whether that pill is going to affect your body or not, you don't know. You see the illusion part of it. So should I not take care of the body? I should take care of the body. I should take care of the mind, but without attachment. And when these problem comes, I can face those challenges and the problems with clarity, with understanding, with calmness. Body is subjected to change, and we both are now in our 65. So what happens, science says that after 40, the destructive processes, catabolic processes starts in the until then it was anabolic, the body was more energetic and growing up fast in height and in health, etc. But now the slope is going down. Yes, I should take care of the body, small things, but don't get obsessed with it. I still remember I have to talk to you about the food. I'll make it clear. So, due to the ignorance, and individuals fail to recognize the true nature and the individual identifies with the ego. So this ignorance gives rise to illusion, causing the person to believe that the world outside are the ultimate source of happiness. That includes the body, also mind also. As a result, that individual becomes deluded. The journey started from the ignorance, and now the person, it enters into illusion. What I said, an individual fails to recognize my true nature. Ignorance simply means I don't know my real self. So then I identify myself with the ego. And that identification with the ego, the ignorance, gave rise to illusion, causing the person to believe my ego is right. The ego of material possession, ego of beauty, ego of lot of things. And now as a result, the individual becomes deluded and develops an intense desire for objects outside to be fulfilled. So if the object comes, I'm happy. If the object is lost or less, I'm unhappy. And that is how I create a cycle that results into the impurities of the mind. And the impurities of the mind results into the impure states of the mind. What are the impure states of the mind? Do you remember? anxious mind, like and dislike mind, money mind, sheep mind, angry mind, etc. etc. I've covered that topic. Now I have an unending desire, and that unending desire results into either greed, if it is fulfilled, stress and anger and hesitation, if it is not fulfilled. And we start creating a vicious circle. Vicious circle of, I told you about the six enemies. You have to remember, perhaps. I believe you remember. What are the six enemies of the mind? First is the desire, hesitation, greed or repeat desire, and delusion, pride, and the jealousy. These six enemies. Continues the journey in ignorance, delusion, and illusion. Every day we have hundreds of illusion and delusion. Every day we live in ignorance. It created a vicious circle, and that vicious circle makes me upset on a given day, anxiety on the second day, reaction on the fourth day, disturbed sleep on the fifth day, and so on. I'm summarizing all the last 5 or 6 sessions together. Animals are believed to be influenced by ignorance because they lack the higher level of awareness. They don't have an intellect and a free will. They cannot understand the true nature of the reality, so they continue to live in ignorance. But we as a human being have the potential to achieve. I can live in a higher awareness by purifying the mind. Animals are driven by the impulses and the instincts, but I can take hold of it. No, I'm not impulsive. I don't want to be impulsive. I don't want to be instinctive. There, I raise my awareness and I start purifying the mind. I have to think inside me. So first thing, the animals continues to live in ignorance. That we need to understand. We are differentiating. Why we are differentiating? In order to understand our own nature. The illusion of the phenomenon world also affect animal in the sense that they are fully immersed in the four instincts: sex, need for sleep, safety, and food. Because they don't have a capacity to question even the stress or the nature of the reality, so they continue to live in the illusion. What about the delusion? Can be observed in animals in their attachment to their offspring, mates, or territories. Animals may experience distress or confusion when separated from objects of attachment. Same thing which also happens to us. A person very dear and near to me and dies, we get instantly upset or divorced. Obviously, because of that attachment, we get upset, so we live in the delusion. Moha, the delusion, affects each and every person. If I don't study the Eastern wisdom, I do not pick up, contemplate, and reflect on the delusion it is caused by the mind every day, one day I have to suffer. So, delusion is basically a mental state characterized by confusion, attachment, foolishness, false perception. Foolishness means that I don't examine my life, what the heck I'm doing. Think of this. The more you think and contemplate, what the heck I'm doing, why I'm sitting, why I'm alone, why I feel loneliness. Everything is there with me. I don't think. That is what the foolishness is. So if I get carried away by these thoughts, then the problem is there. So this delusion arises in our mind, which is a mental state when we are caught in the illusion of the material world and the ego. The two factors are there. One is the ego, and other is I'm caught in the illusion of the material world. And this can happen anytime, anywhere, in any location, with any relationship. First, what I said, mental state. Delusion is a mental state characterized by confusion, attachment, intellectual paralysis, unexamined life, foolishness. Done. Now, this moha, this delusion arises when I'm caught up in the illusion of the material world and the ego. Now, what is the illusion of the material world and the ego? Anything, any type can arise. Oh, the wealth can buy me happiness. I have given you. One guy was telling me that I have given this guy thousands of dollars and he wasted, and I'm disturbed now. Why you have given? We are caught up in the illusion of the material world. So, this delusion exists in the mind as a mental state and influences my thought, my emotion, and my action. Because it exists in the mind deeper inside, invisible, influences my thought, emotions, and action. It can manifest in my personal life, professional life, anywhere. Understand. Delusion occurs due to lack of understanding. You remind yourself, lack of understanding of this Eastern wisdom, or I would say the spiritual knowledge, that I am the real self. I am of the nature of peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. How the man, how the delusion manifests. So this delusion manifests through attachment to the worldly possessions, to the relationship and the experiences. and inability to see beyond the limitations of the ego. Moha, delusion, expresses itself through attachment to the worldly possessions, through relationship, through many other experiences. So it prevents me to see beyond the limitations of the ego. And it causes a lot of problems. Ultimately, it boils down to the impurities of the mind and the impure states of the mind. So we are talking what the invisible part, what is happening deeper inside me. That delusion, that illusion, and that ignorance. What manifests outside is just a reaction, anger, anxiety, conflict, and confusion. The mental state. Ignorance affects all beings who have not yet realized the real self. People of all walks of life, all students, young and old, ignorance is always there. Those who have not followed the path of the Eastern wisdom, that problem is always there. It is the fundamental misunderstanding of the nature of reality, that I am the real self. So when I don't know I'm the real self, I stand in front of the mirror and then the mind says, this is you are. This is you are means I'm the body. You gave a good talk. This is I am. So I am identifying myself with the mind. You see? It happens instantly. You look so charming. I'm not the body, my dear. You see, if you think, oh no, I'm not the body, my dear, but anyhow, thank you very much for your appreciation. Ignorance has been present since the time immemorial, root cause of the cycle of suffering, pain, and the pleasure. Where the ignorance is located, it is located in the mind. And when it is located in the mind, it influences my perception, my thought, my action, my feeling. So you are never upset. It is because of the delusion, ignorance, and illusion. It influences my thought, feeling, and perception. So when you say I'm totally upset today, it is not because you are upset. That is because of these three factors. So this ignorance believes what is false I is the real I. Why the false I is the real I? Because of attachment, because of obsession, because of seeking pleasure, because of forgetting my nature. Think, 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 think. And the illusion also affects every being. It is a cosmic illusion that creates the appearance of multiplicity. Can you imagine? Have you seen the waves in an ocean? Yes, I have seen. So now just imagine all these waves are the different objects, people, things, events, situation in the world. Just imagine, for the sake of understanding, how you understand the illusion. Did you understand? Okay. So all the waves in an ocean, they rise and they fall. Same way, the waves of different events, people, relationship, things, they rise and they fall. What remains is the water. When the wave falls, what remains is the water. When everything falls, what remains is the existence, is the supreme self, is the existence of the nature of peace, happiness, love, truth. The wave has a problem. Water has no problem. Similarly, we have millions of situations and events and people and relationship. If you clearly see and take them as a wave, this situation has come, it has to go. Will you have a problem in your life? So this illusion works at the cosmic scale. It's a grand scale. Delusion works at the personal level. But again, delusion, illusion, and ignorance are located in the mind. So this illusion prevents, obscures, conceals the true nature of the real self. So when it conceals the true nature of the real self, then I have to hang on something. So when I hang on something, it creates a delusion. But why these two are happening? Because of the ignorance. Wake up in the morning, you are aware of these principles. Intellect knows this is what the illusion, delusion, and ignorance is. Mind causes some problem. Intellect instantly recognizes, you become aware, because all the three, ignorance, illusion, and delusion, are present in the mind. By the intellect, you become aware and you throw away this. You're happy. Illusion conceals the true nature of the real. But why it is concealing? From where the illusion has come? Because of the ignorance. It is the root cause. And from there, the delusion takes place in our life. I'm simply saying, simply pleading. The moment you have anxiety, duality, conflict, confusion, upset, anger, hesitation, anything that is negative, first you have to say in your mind it is because of these three factors. First step. Second step, then, if you have a time and if you are in that state, you can just close your eyes and you say in your mind that let me watch these thoughts, which is these thoughts were hijacked by the ignorance, illusion, and delusion. So let me check what is the thought and what is my perception. Instantly you get rid of it. Even if you don't get rid of it, do the practice and then contemplate and reflect again. Thank you and namaste. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.